Our habits can help anchor us and stay on course, on track to help us create more success and happiness in our lives and to help us create the lives we really want to live. Much like an anchor holds a boat or a ship in position and keeps it on track, on course, as opposed to letting a boat or a ship just float off without any direction and go and get lost off course. So again, we want our habits to be anchored, to help us, to direct us, to give us momentum to go in the direction we'd like to be. I'm Dr. Ellen Ettinger, and I'm going to be talking today how to build anchor habits, how to evaluate your habits, and how to harness the power and benefits of anchor habits. So our habits are tasks and activities that we do repetitively and frequently over time. So our habits are very deeply related to our results and outcomes in our lives. Because again, those repeated tasks that we do often lead us to the results and outcomes we have. So let's talk a little bit first about habits. First, what are habits? They are the repetitive tasks and processes that we have repetitively in our lives. And again, they help create the outcomes and results that we see in our life. Second important thing to know is habits can be good. They can help direct us towards good outcomes, or they can derail us. They can be problematic and cause obstacles. And we all have different types of habits in our lives. What we like to do is create more good habits that can support the goals and outcomes we're working towards. And another point of about habits is that they're often so ingrained, so natural, and so automatic. We often don't even realize we have these habits. One of my friends observed a safety habit that I have that I didn't even notice myself. She was visiting, and as I have shared with this group often, I live in New York City, and she mentioned that she had observed, she was visiting with me. She said, you know, every time you get on the elevator in your building, you glance behind you before you get on the elevator, just so you know if anybody else is getting on the elevator with you. When she said that to me, I said, I do, really? I hadn't even noticed that until she pointed it out to me. But when I thought about it, I realized I guess it is a safety habit that I'm used to doing because I want to know who I'm getting on an elevator with. And she pointed that out to me. And similarly, we often have many automatic ingrained habits that we're not aware of. One of them for many parents is being in that stress cycle, that automatic stress cycle. A lot of parents I work with tell me they wake up in the morning and within a half hour, they're already worrying and stressed about all the things they have to get done during the day and all the things that are on their plate. And again, being in that stress cycle is a loop, and it's largely a habit, and we can change our habits. So ingrained habits are sometimes hard to change, but they're not impossible to change. And that's the important thing when we want to change them, to be aware of them. So if you understand your goals in life, what we want to do is adopt anchor habits to help support and create those results. A lot of people assume successful people have bigger or loftier goals than people who don't achieve such success. And I think a better way of putting it is successful people have more successful habits that support their goals. and support their aspirations so they can get from creating a goal to achieving it by the habits that they have. They're repetitive habits that occur regularly over time. What's the difference between regular habits and anchor habits? Well, again, regular habits can be good, they can be supportive, or they can be negative. They can hold us back, they can create obstacles. And we all have a variety of habits. Many of them are automatic, and again, we're often not even aware of them. Anchor habits are habits that you adopt intentionally with determination because they're important to you and that you know they can be helpful. So, for many of the problems in our lives, if you're feeling overstressed or overscheduled, or not present with your kids, or you can't focus at work, or you don't feel in control in your life, you feel like life is controlling you, very often they occur that way because of our habits. And if we want to change the status of those situations, we can do it by implementing stronger, more supportive anchor habits to help us. And we can have anchor habits in a variety of areas in our lives, in our personal lives. And I like to use self-care habits that can support us to be strong and healthy and energetic. We can have habits that anchor us to help us in our careers, our work goals. We can have anchor habits for our health, for relationships. And I'm going to give you an example of a relationship anchor habit. We can have anchor habits for our home, our environment. What do we want our home to look like? Do we want our home and work to be organized? But do we come home and find everything is disorganized? Or do we lose things at work and are we continually looking for things? So if we're disorganized, if we're cluttered, we probably don't have supportive habits to organize. We can also have anchor habits for money in our life, for life planning. And we can have habits that are daily habits, weekly habits, monthly habits, even yearly habits, and also seasonal habits. So in our families, how do we celebrate birthdays? What do we do to celebrate birthdays in our family? And what about holidays? What are our habits? What are our rituals? We can even have yearly habits where we look at our goals over the year. What did we start with? What did we accomplish? And of course, it's important to do that during the year as well. Of course, we have lots of daily habits that are often about our personal life, our health, our relationships. We may have weekly habits. I talk a lot about having family meetings. And I do have a separate video on family meetings, but they can be so helpful because in addition to helping bonding together and organizing, we can talk about any particular topic at a family meeting. We can talk about safety or a holiday coming up, or bullying in school and what to do, or a vacation that's coming up. We can have a weekly family game night. And again, all of these can help anchor our relationships and bond our family together. So habits are really helpful in all areas of life that I mentioned a whole bunch of them. And if we don't have anchor habits, then life will steer us passively and we'll end up wherever we end up. We have less control. That's why it's important to be so intentional and deliberate, and why I'm such a big fan of anchor habits, which can help direct us again and keep us on course, keep us with momentum, to get where we want to be in life. So here are some steps that can help you to adopt better anchor habits over time. The first step, the first process I suggest you do, and this can take about 15 minutes, not really more. Take a piece of paper and a pen, and I'd like to suggest that you write down your habits. And this can be really difficult. It sounds simple, but again, it can be difficult because we're often not aware of some of our habits. And it may be helpful to you to do this step with a conversation with a friend, with somebody you know, who can help really have a conversation with you about what your habits are. And again, we often aren't even aware or alert to our habits. So think about the things you do when you wake up in the morning, or when you get to work, or at the end of the workday, or at night when you're going to sleep. Think about the important transition times during the day. And that will often help uncover some of those unconscious habits that you're not even aware of. So make a list of all of your habits. And then I'd like you to label your habits. What are the good habits that really support you in your goals? And did you pick up any habits that are really obstructive, that do not support you, and that can create obstacles that you'd like to really get rid of and replace with better habits? So really become familiar of your repetitive activities, your tasks, your belief systems, and think about how you might adopt better habits, anchor habits that can support the way you want to live, not necessarily the way you're living, but where you want to go. And third, think about what anchor habits you can put in to help create and support the life you want to lead, the goals that you want to achieve. So I'm going to give you just an example of a relationship anchor habit that can help parents. And that is creating a daily conversation with your kids. So, and it might be after dinner, or maybe before dinner, after school. But it's great to have a daily conversation. And I'll give you some examples. What was your favorite part of the day? That's really a glorious conversation to have. And what went well today? How about, were there any challenges? Were there any rough spots during the day? And it's really important to create a conversation like this where your kids know they can speak to you routinely. Because if they have a rough spot, you want them to be comfortable and know that there's an ongoing conversation. They can be comfortable to discuss these things with you. You really don't want them to be afraid and think, how can I bring this up? How can I have this conversation? If you have these conversations on an ongoing basis, then it's natural for your child to feel that they can come to you. And again, there are a number of questions you can ask. But again, about the particular day is really helpful. I like to have some conversations about school. What did you learn in school today? Who of your friends did you see in school today? Did you have any interesting conversations with your friends, or do anything interesting? How about this one? Did you see anybody do anything nice for anybody today? Or did you have the opportunity to do anything nice for anyone today? Again, a great conversation to get your kids to notice all these important things that they can do and that can occur in life. So again, our habits are often difficult to define, to observe, to be aware of, unless we sit down and intentionally try to look at what our habits are and try to revamp our habits so that they can be anchors and they can support us rather than leaving us passively with whatever it is that we're doing. A great exercise in looking at what your support system is for your life and your goals. And again, it's really difficult to identify some of those deeply ingrained habits that just occur naturally. You might want to have that conversation with a friend who might be good at making that a longer conversation with you. And if that's something that's difficult for you, that you're having trouble with, I do make a commitment to you that if this is difficult for you, I'd be happy to have a conversation with you and help you identify what your habits are so that you can think about how you can create a better system of habits, of anchor habits that can support you. So, and again, I hope that you'll do this exercise of sitting down, identifying your habits, labeling which are the good habits, what you'd like to change, and trying to think about what you can implement in your life to create more anchor habits. I'd hate for you just to listen to this and to not have any results. And again, habits lead us to the results and outcomes in our lives because they're the tasks, they're the actions that we take that lead to our outcomes. So this is really an important conversation that I think we should all think about. I do hope that this topic was helpful to you. If it is, please check thumbs up so other people will know it is useful. And please share this with other people so that we can get the message out about how important anchor habits can be and how helpful they can be. And of course, don't forget to subscribe so that you can benefit when I come out with other videos on other topics. And I do come out with a new video each week. So next week, I will be here with another topic. If you have any topic that you'd like me to speak about, feel free to send me a message and let me know what's on your mind. I will see you again next week with another topic. And until then, be strong, be empowered, and let's talk again soon.